You gotta be fucking with me. Hey! You showed your true colors with that BNC.
You runners ain't...
You can't just run off like that, Henny. Granny's not as spry as she once was.
Henny, I'm not...
Aren't you cold, darling? You never knew how to dress appropriately. I remember back in preschool how you would put your undies on your head.
I'm sorry, but I think you're mistaking me for somebody.
It's about time you made it back here, Henny. I'm feeling a bit out of sorts today. Why am I even standing here? Aha! Did you get... Do you have those, you know... Help me out here, Henny.
I'm sorry, I'm Aiden. Aiden. And I really have to get going.
Pills. That's it. You were supposed to bring me my pills. Ran out this morning. And my mind's all sort of foggy.
I'd like to help, but I... Okay, let's see. Where do you usually keep these pills, ma'am?
No matter, Henny. You were supposed to refill my script at the pharmacy.
Pharmacies aren't really open for business these days.
God, I've forgotten everything. Ah, I know. This group of nice boys came this morning for coffee. No, it was for tea. And they made me, I lent them my last bottle. They had such funny masks on their faces.
You were robbed by renegades?
Ah, yes. That might be what they called themselves. But they were nice boys.
Alright, don't worry, Grandma. I'll ask those boys to give it back. Where did they go after that?
Somewhere over there. To those abandoned apartments behind me, I guess. Darling, don't you boys get up to too much mischief together. I'll be waiting with a hot cup of tea by the windmill south of the VNC Tower.
One. New message.
So they are here. Grandma might be confused, but her memory's just fine for some things. I hope these pills help her.
Move forward.
They're looking for an electrician, not a carpenter.
That's a shame. I could use the work.
I gotta fill him.
Here you go, ma'am. Grandma, I got your pills.
Took your sweet time, Jerry. Had to grab a pint with your mates after work again, is that it? You could have let me know before we got married, the day were your true loves. Well, here's your tea. See what kind of wife you have?
Oh, the best kind. And after a hard day's work, a pint with the guys is a pardonable offense, isn't it? Take this, darling. You'll feel better.
That's so sweet you brought them, Aiden.
Wait. So, you remember my name? You know who I am?
Oh, my. Oh, all right. I might have exaggerated my memory problems a little bit. One can get used to this epidemic, even to the infected. But to loneliness? Never. What's the point of surviving if I have no one to share my life with? And you. Do you have a grandmother still alive? Do you drop by for tea with her?
Never had a grandma.
Truly? Then you do not even know what you are missing. I know so many stories. Would you like to listen?
I'd love to.
Drop by whenever you feel like it, and I'll be glad to tell you. People bring hurt on themselves when they ask too much from life.
That's about the only time I saw
Life is so very much,
goddamn.
well,
fights.
Lively.
How you doing, buddy?
How well do you know your fellow citizens, huh? I recognize you. You are Aiden. I, as I'm sure you well know, am Regis, the Herald. I behold and recount all that goes on in this city.
Herald? Is that a real job?
Not only is it real, it is of the utmost importance. Since the fall of traditional media, where else would the citizenry get their information?
Yeah, I see. What were you before this? A farmer?
Bite your tongue, sir. I was a former VNC News editor-in-chief, a most trustworthy and well-informed source of the day's news.
Is this why you're standing in the shadow of the VNC tower? Do you miss bossing people around?
Let's see if you know more about the good people of Villador than simply to mock them. I have 4 simple questions to ask you about some of our more interesting citizens. Answer them correctly, and I will believe you a worthy member of our community.
Sure, I've met a lot of people.
Your first question, then. Who is the shadowy figure that pulls the strings in the bazaar? A dealer in, shall we say, ill-gotten goods?
That can't be anyone but Dodger. He's a bastard, but charming. Yeah, weird hobbies.
Precisely! You're off to a splendid start. Here's your next question. A rather comely woman works at the library. But I, Harold, knower of a great many things, cannot recall the fair damsel's name. Do you know it?
I know exactly who you mean. That's Thalia.
Indeed. Perhaps you could introduce me to her. Sparker's not really working for me.
Oof.
Forget I asked. Instead, here's a more appropriate question. Meyer is very even-keeled and thoughtful for a PK. But the mention of one person tends to trigger her. Do you know who that is?
I talked to her about it. Her father.
Correct. The poor woman. She doesn't just have daddy issues. She seems to have an auto-renewing subscription. Final question, good sir. I have learned that Driscoll from the Carriers Guild has acquired an interesting nickname. Do you know it?
How could I not? I gave it to him. It's Professor.
So you see why I respect the man.
The guy's got an exhaustive and sometimes exhausting knowledge of the history of mail service.
Such a font of information. I shall tell his story to the people of Villador one day. You've done very well and answered all 4 questions correctly. Congratulations. Maybe now you understand the power of information. And to show you that I don't hold grudges, despite your initial contempt, I shall gift you with a very precious recording. The last minutes on the air of the VNC. Yes, Pilgrim, information matters. Enough for some of us to want to give their life to defend it.
Thanks.
And don't forget to bear witness.
Of course.
Can't let darkness and ignorance reign. Ignorance leads to repeating the same.
Should be learning.
Watch yourself. Here?
That.
Wait, what are you ranting about, mister?
Ranting? Son, I'm trying to safeguard our collective memory. I'm only trying to preserve history.
Seems like a big task. Can one man even do that?
I have a good background for that. For 30 years, I was a tourist guide. After the fall, I founded Villador's Historical Conservation Society.
Doesn't seem to be much to conserve around here anymore.
Thank the renegades for that. Still, more than ever, we must remember our past. We must keep track. Otherwise, we'll slip into the Dark Ages for good. We can't build a future for humankind if we don't know our history. What do you say I ask you 2 or 3 questions about that? See if you've been paying attention. See if you do know our past. So, you ready to talk history now?
I can try.
Good. Let's start with one of the defining moments of our history. A tragic event that had such an impact, it still defines how the city looks today. Here goes. What event went down in history as Black Monday?
That would be the chemical strikes on the city 11 years ago.
Correct. On January 6th, 2025, at 0800 hours, the butcher, Colonel Williams, decided to use a newly discovered chemical compound, the THV Gen Mod, to stop infection. Hope of reclaiming control of the city turned to tragedy. Millions of residents were killed. It also caused terrifying mutations of the infected, turning them into what we now call specials. The chemicals are still active today. Don't get near them. I mentioned the March Massacre before. Any clue what happened on this day?
The army killed 64 civilians protesting against weapons confiscation.
You actually have been paying attention. This is correct. This shooting was the beginning of escalation of riots in the city, which finally led to the fall of General Pratt and Colonel Williams taking over. The army confiscated all the guns and ammo. It all started there. south of Houndfield, by the monument of the World Art Congress. The last question. Let's go for a moment out of Villador, taking a global perspective. Before mutating, THV was simply known as Haran virus. Haran is where it all started. But do you remember when the Haran events happened?
In early spring, 2014.
Bravo! I'm impressed, young man. Indeed. The virus emerged during Haran's Global Athletic Games in 2014 and went dormant after the city was quarantined. It was subsequently turned into an exclusion zone by the GRE. I remember those would-be games. I even took a week off to watch them. My country had many medal prospects. No one expected it would become hell on Earth. But that's the part everyone knows and never talks about, since it's what caused the fall. I commend you on your knowledge, young man. Never stop seeking more. And never forget, we're always just a few burning history books away from darkness. Here's a small token of my appreciation. Should teach you a bit about one of my favorite parts of the city, the catacombs.
Great. I have to tell my kids no food tonight. Thebane, the papaline, isolate the morphine, subject it to acetylate.
Looking sharp, Aiden.
Can't take much more of this.
Watch it, Pilgrim. Juan's the type of dude who uses one hand to shake yours while he sticks his other one down his pants.
Villador problems.
Is something wrong?
No, nothing. Talking to myself, that's all.
I mean, I can see something's the matter, but okay.
It's just, there's nothing that can be done. There are too many of them.
Too many who?
Renegades. Degenerates. 6 months ago, they kidnapped my son, Rook, and they forced me to produce drugs for them. I was the chemistry teacher in school before the epidemic. I held one of them back, Grade.
But what about your son?
They're holding him hostage. If I'm late with the next batch of drugs, they'll kill him.
Maybe what these bandits need is a lesson.
But there's a whole band of them.
I've faced far worse odds than that. I'm not a fan of kidnapping.
Will you help me?
Yeah, I'll try. Where are they keeping Rook?
In a military building, overlooking the canal south of Muddy Grounds, near Culvert Island. The entrance is on St. Paul Boulevard, past the red car carrier. Just be careful. I went there myself once, trying to free my boy. They caught me. Then later brought me one of Rook's fingers. As long as these bastards are alive, they'll never leave us alone.
I'll be careful.
I'll follow you. Wait outside for you to come out. What's your name?
Aiden.
Thank you, Aiden. I haven't slept a wink for 6 months. What are they doing?
kind of... Oh, shit! That's sufficient.
You all right?
I'm... yeah.
They injected that shit into you.
Who are you?
Aiden, your father sent me.
Father? Dad.
You're out of danger. I'll take you to him.
No.
What?
I don't need you, Dad. Or anybody else. I'm doing fine here. Give me a needle.
Hey, wait. You've got all your fingers. The bandits didn't cut one off. So it was all fake?
Leave me alone.
There was no kidnapping, was there? You've been tricking your own father into making you free drugs?
Get out of here.
How could you do that to your father?
Didn't want this, okay? It's stronger than me.
And now what do you want? You'd rather stay here like this than be with your father?
Rook! Son! My boy! Finally, I've got you back. What is it, boy? Are you all right?
Look, there was never any kidnapping.
What?
It was all a show, including that severed finger.
But how could that be? Rook, say that's not true.
I tried to kick it. I tried. I didn't want to keep taking. But I started getting high with them. When I mentioned you, they realized you were their former teacher and a chemist.
God, Rook.
I wanted to stop, to end it, but they wouldn't let me. I'm sorry.
Come back home with me. We'll talk there.
Really? After all I did?
You'll always be my son. Thank you.